and a guy that used to be used to be in Machine Head, now has reclaimed his throne in Vio-lence.
Oh,
Is the one and only Mr. Phil Demmel. Phil, how are you, man?
good man. Good, man. I don't know if we are reclaiming the throne or anything. I think we were like the court jesters back in the day. Whatever the thing that they used to fling around, we've reclaimed that.
Very good, man. Well, Phil, it's good to have you on the show, man. Both Matt and I are huge fans of everything that you do. You know, and to the point, we're both huge Machine Head guys, and
awesome.
seen you play, I don't know, dozens of times, and you know, and now, but it seems like right now you're like the most busy guy in the pandemic era of rock. Like every time we turn around, there's another band and your name's in it, whether it's BPMD or it's the, you know, the thing that you did with Jericho or the, you know, or obviously the Vio-lence stuff, you know. Talk about just staying busy at a time where everybody else is laying around on the couch, man.
You know, it's ever since I left Machine Head, it's been this kind of nonstop, just fun-filled roller coaster ride, and I don't know what's happening next or what the stuff. You know, I don't even know what I'm in line for, but you know, but it's going to be cool, and you know, going from Machine Head right into the Slayer thing into an extremely busy NAMM for me, and doing all these jams with all these killer artists, and jumping into getting asked to do the BPMD record, and you know, being asked to be the only guitar player in this band doing these crazy cover tunes. And man, I filled in for Nonpoint for a couple of shows, you know, and I tried to think back at everything that I've been doing, and these collab jams that I've been doing are super fun.
Metal Allegiance.
Yeah, the Metal Allegiance. We did a tour, and writing this, you know, Vio-lence getting back together, which was the last thing I expected, you know, coming home and from the Slayer thing and enjoying the holidays, and then have Sean contact me in January and say, hey, you know, what do you think about doing some shows? And I didn't know what he was talking about, man. I like, because last time I saw him, it looked like he was on his deathbed. We held this charity golf tournament for him, and he was like just gaunt and a distended belly, and he looked like my grandfather, you know. And his I went up to visit him. I was going up to see Shinedown up in Sacramento, and I had his address, so I was dropping in on him totally unannounced to surprise him. And I saw him out front, like watering. He was on the porch, maybe waiting for his dog to come in or something like that. And I was shocked, man. I literally stopped and was taken aback by how sickly he looked. And this was Sean fucking Killian, man, you know. And I've seen him at his best. I've seen him at his worst, but I've seen him at his best, and he was just this piss and vinegar, full of life, shit talking, you know, full of energy dude. And to see him in this state was super sad. And I could tell that, I haven't really talked about this much, so you guys are really getting the scoop on this. That he was taken aback that I was just like, oh shit, you know, nobody's really seen me like this, you know. And I've been sick for a bit, and I let him explain what was happening, and he explained what had been going on and what his fight was, and so it was good to connect at that level. But then to flash forward to January 2000, was it 19?
Last year.
He's wanting to do these shows. I'm all Vio-lence shows. Are you kidding me? You know, he just, you know, maybe doing a cover of a Sabbath tune with you sitting down, but not. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the band before, but it takes a lot just to get on stage, let alone sing those songs. And I thought it was a huge undertaking on his part. And then once he said he was on board, I had to take him at his word. And then we had to recruit everybody else and make sure that they were going to be up to the task.
Right.
Yeah. So this Vio-lence thing has been super cool. Doing some reunion shows, getting to travel the world with some dudes that the last incantation of the band. We have since moved on to Bobby Gustafson playing guitar for us now. Christian Oldie Warbur's playing bass for us now. So as the group has gained traction and we got to deal with Metal Blade and we're putting the big boy pants back on, it's not just jamming for our friends in our backyard. Although we did sell 2,000 tickets in about, in a few hours.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Super cool. I'd never done that with any of my bands in the Bay Area, selling that many tickets in that little time. And so it was the love that this area has for this band and now it's growing. We're seeing it global, with the internet. If the internet was alive back in 1988.
Only if I know.
You know what the big difference was then to now, Phil? I mean, yeah, the internet might have given you some opportunity to get the word out, but I think the big difference was just the abundance of bands at that time. When you think about, you guys and Forbidden and obviously Testament and, I mean, I used to go to the Stone or the Omni pretty much every weekend.
Oh, wow. So you're local.
No, I'm in Cleveland now, but I was back then. And I used to go to those clubs without even seeing who was playing. It didn't matter because you just knew that there was going to be somebody that you could relate to musically, and I saw Vio-lence play at, I forget which one of those rooms back in like 91, 2, somewhere in there, somewhere in the old days. But that was what was the big, if there was a reason Vio-lence didn't break out in my head, that would be the reason, is that there was just so many bands, people started picking their poisons versus just embracing them all. Did you see it that way?
Kind of. I felt that, us as a live band, especially back in the day at our most cockiest, we would, on a level playing field, we would open for anybody. And I think there was a lot of bands in the Bay Area who didn't want to go on after us too. So in the days before a lot of production and stuff, that we would, we weren't scared. We weren't scared to play with anybody. So we did a few tours. I think that the fact that we were, so brazen and cocky and knew it all, that when we fired our manager, who was friends with everybody in the industry, Debbie Abono, sweetheart to all, that was the death knell. That was just like, nobody wanted to work with us. And and understandably so. So we had a nice deck in front of us. We got some super one album deals with Mechanic MCA and Megaforce Atlantic. And I feel that we were too big for our own britches to understand our place at that point. And to be here, 32 years later, and able to have fun and enjoy the music and have it be about that now is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I think we're all grasping onto that and enjoying making this. I mean, the songs, and I don't want to get into it's the heaviest, it's crushing. I would just say this: we are all so excited about what we're doing, and are so proud of the tunes that are happening now, and what we're doing as a group. So it's really, really exciting.
Awesome. Well, Phil, yeah, I am here in the Bay Area. I've been here for about 10 years now. One of the coolest things I love it about around here in terms of the metal scene, and me and Chris have discussed this, is that, you always hear about metal being like a, quote unquote community, but really it depends on, I think, the geographical location you're at, because I grew up in New York, I lived in LA, and it's not like it is here. I mean, the musicianship, the musicians, the fans, everybody here is just, it really is a community. I mean, the musicians are very inclusive. They're approachable. I mean, they interact with you, obviously, like you're doing with us. And they're just also very appreciative of the fans, that, that they still enjoy their music. And of course, the historic relevance to the scene. Obviously, you've toured the globe extensively. You've been, in and around many of the metal circles here in the States as well. In your opinion, not really to compare it with any other location, but what is it that makes it so special around here with, the musicians in the scene that really separates, I think, the Bay Area from other places when it comes to metal? Because everyone's just so kind of down to earth here and just kind of really connected.
Yeah, I think it all starts in the beginning. I'm wearing the Murder on the Front Row, shirt right now, and I just rewatched it yesterday because the first time I saw it at the premiere, I was during a Metal Allegiance tour, and I was raged till 7 a.m. the night before. It was just so shot at the screening. So I rewatched it, and I think it all starts at the top. I think it starts with, Kirk and Gary and Exodus, and bringing Metallica in here with Cliff and having them be part of this too. And I think that the whole Bay Area thing vibe was more. I think the biggest rock stars in the area weren't in any of the bands. They were the characters of the scene, the Toby Rages, the Airborne Andys, all these, people that you hear of, the Dublin Death Patrol guys coming in. And there was a point in, they set the bar as far as, hey, be humble or be knocked on your ass type of deal. It's like, everybody's a family here. There are no rock star trips here. There were, as time went on, there were some rivalries, us and Death Angel had beef, us and Forbidden had beef, that we were all on that, there were the first couple of tiers, but they were kind of our big brothers. And, I played in a band with Zet, and his first band actually, and I watched him grow from my band On Parole, into Legacy, and then into Exodus, and then I saw Chuck come in, who lived in Dublin with me.
Sure.
His brother was in his brother was in Vio-lence when I joined, and Death Penalty. So there's all this incestuous, vibe going on where you're learning from all these people, and they set the bars as far as musicianship, because you couldn't suck, because people would rip the mic out of your stage. Or I saw this band called Tyrannicide playing, and one of the locals, Jeff Bovey, jumped on stage and just socked the center of the face. I'm like, wow, fuck. So, they set the bar as far as being cool and being part of that community. And like when you were living here, maybe in the later 80s, you could go to the Omni, the Stone, some of the other clubs, the Mab, the Rock on Broadway, 4 or 5 nights a week. There's a metal show going on.
Right.
You didn't care. You didn't really care who was playing, because all your friends were going to be there. It helped because there was going to be a quality band playing, or a friend's band playing, or somebody that you wanted to help support. The shows were like $5, and it was you were a scene. You knew who you were going to see there, and you knew who was going to support. And it hasn't happened anywhere else in that sense. It's never going to happen again, especially in these days of technology and instant gratification. I want to hear blah blah blah. Pretty soon you're going to just hit your forehead and go, ruin, Lamb of God, go.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, and you're so right, Phil. Back then, like I said, I never cared who was playing. I never went to try and. I was in the military at the time. I was stationed at Fort Ord, so I was like an hour and a half away, and I didn't have a paper to know what was going on up there. It was just like, whatever. It's, who cares? You would go up there. And for me, I was 20 years old at the time. All I cared about was I could go in the Omni, and I could go upstairs and I could meet somebody. It didn't, I go upstairs, I meet Jim Martin from Faith No More.
Faith No More guys are hanging out.
Yeah, or Zach Wilde would be in there hanging out because he'd be in town or something. Or the Metallica boys would be hanging out, or Exodus, or, you guys. It was always one of those, as just a music dork, it was like, fuck yeah, this is like how it's supposed to be. And it isn't anywhere that I've ever been, man. It's definitely a time that I wish would come back, but probably never will.
I'm saying 95%. Definitely not 5%.
Well, Phil, let's talk about Vio-lence, man. Let's talk about what's going on in the camp. Last I read, you guys had finished recording a couple of songs for the upcoming EP on Metal Blade. I know you guys obviously released the Dead Kennedys classic, California Über Alles, which is a great job on the video too. I mean, Sean looks great in there. He sounds great.
Sounds good.
Yeah, he really does, man. And so just let us know what's going on in terms of the EP that's supposed to come out eventually on a Metal Blade.
All right. Well, we, when all this hit, we didn't have anything going on, and Sean had recommended that we do the song, the DK song we're going to do a home show in April, and then it got moved to August, as we all know. And so we were going to perform this song at the show as a, kind of a treat. We wanted to do something different. And so I was thinking, man, we're not going to be doing anything. Let's bring up, Bob and Christian and do a video for this tune. We could do it, and me and the wife run a bar in Dublin here called the Back Lounge, and we could do something, hey, we're bored, let's go down and jam or something,
Right.
And the premise all came to us as it came along, and everybody's, if you've seen the video, it goes, oh, it's an anti-mask, whatever. It's like, it's not anti. Everybody's wearing a fucking mask,
Right.
Yeah.
So it was fun to record the song. It's the first time that Perry and I had recorded basic tracks together. The first time we recorded with Christian, he came up and recorded us on his Pro Tools rig in our practice in our jam pad. It's the first time you've heard Sean sing for Vio-lence since 1994. We did a demo, but it's been 26 years since he recorded for the band. And so it was everybody, we pumped it as this new thing, but we also said it's a cover song. So, it's a cover. And people were just like, fuck. We thought they had this all disenchanted that they didn't get a brand new song. So I love what Sean did on it, and it was great for him to not have this pressure of writing new lyrics and have this. It was a fun thing. It was meant to be fun. I mean, we recorded it in our jam room, for God's sakes. And so what we're doing now is a 5-song EP for Metal Blade.
Cool.
We don't know when it's going to be released because this is all, insanity right now still.
Sure.
I mean, you're in California, so you look outside today and it was what?
It's crazy.
It was
Mars here. Yeah.
I honestly was, I was expecting to see Ash with a chainsaw, my boomstick, red skies, and
yeah, it's crazy.
I felt like I was just worked like the graveyard shift. If you ever worked graveyard and you just kind of, you're just waking up, but it seems like it's nighttime. And so anyways, I digress. So we're writing these 5 songs. I'm writing the music. Sean's writing the lyrics. This is just kind of the first things that I'm kind of writing post MH. And I want this, I'm being totally selfish, and I just want this to be Eternal Nightmare style. Me writing the music, Sean writing the lyrics, composing with Perry. Perry's in the room. And so these 5 are going to be me and Sean. Probably do a full length after that. It'll be all 5 of us with Bobby and Christian writing too, and all 5 of us hashing it out. But this is something that I just need to purge. I need to make a statement with. And we've got 4 songs now, 3 with lyrics. I think 4 almost complete now.
Okay.
And there's, like I said, it's the most crushing, most brutal riffs ever. I'm not going to do that.
Sure.
I'm just going to say, I've kind of said a couple times where if a riff don't give me a 10-foot boner, man, then it's not going to make it on this. So every bit
there you go.
is, it feels like our first record, because when you do a first record, you've had like 3 years to kind of assemble the songs and go over them. And I feel like we've had a lot of time on these that I'm adding like a harder riff here or adding a little bit here, and the dudes are like, fuck, man, they can be, you got like 10 songs and they
right.
You don't have to cram it all in. So I'm just trying to, some of the riffs I can't play yet because I got to get shit up to speed, or I'm just, I even did that in Machine Head. I'd write riffs that I really couldn't write, and Robb's got such a killer right hand that it's just like, well, here's how I'm hearing it in my head, So I'm playing the riffs on this one. So I gotta, I've been going to boot camp, and these past really year and a half, really working on my technique a lot, and getting my, when you play with Slayer for a bit, you got to have your chops.
Yeah.
So I think I took it from learning those songs and just kind of stayed on top of it, and been doing my workouts. So be prepared for some songs you're not going to be able to just pick up and jam. You're going to have to learn them.
Awesome. Well, I think it was kind of a brilliant move in a way to sort of release the cover at first. Like you said, I know a lot of fans were.
Thank you, man. You get it.
Yeah, of course. Well, the thing is because now the fans can, they've gotten a taste of the sound, the tone. They see that Sean's vocal prowess is still at such a high level. So now it's going to gin up even more excitement than it was before. So I think it's a good move. I know you got a lot of scrutiny from a lot of fans going, what's the first song in 25 plus years and it's a cover? You know what I mean? But I think it's a brilliant move, man, to do that. You know, obviously marketing wise, in terms of just getting, yeah. And in terms of just quickly, in terms of, like you said, you got Bobby and Christian now that are in the picture. So what brought those guys into the picture, especially now that, Dean was there for so long. He was there, obviously, when the band lifted off in the, mid 80s there. What happened with Dean and how'd you get Bobby and Christian to come on board?
Well, first, Bobby was approached. I mean, him and Perry have been in contact for 30-something years, ever since Perry left Vio-lence the first time. And I think maybe 91, 92. No, he was after Robb. So he's maybe 93. Fuck, I don't know. But he and Bobby had been jamming and trying to get something together. And I think that they were going to jam with Billy Milano right out of the gate. Yeah, because Perry kind of rubbed that in our faces a little bit when he was leaving. I'm going to go do some real shit now. And, Billy and I, Vio-lence was really stagnant towards the end. We were just beating a dead horse, and he had an opportunity to go do something. So, looking back, I get it. But they'd been in touch for a bit. We were, it was time. Us and Ray had just reached the point where it was time. We had some fun doing the reunion stuff with him and get to travel a little bit with him. And it was, we were stepping up, and we had reached the point in our relationship. I don't know how much more I can massage this in the most politically correct way, that it was just time for us to break up.
Okay.
And Bobby was on board. Same with Dean. We had a whole slew of shows this year lined up to do. Dean has always been kind of non-committal throughout every step of the band.
Right. Yeah.
Be it rehearsal or be it whatever, character, awesome personality, looks great on stage. And so we were approaching these shows, and he's got, a really good job at home, raising a kid, single parent, got great benefits, and there was going to be commitment with him, whether he could make it. And it was looking like he was going to miss more shows than he was going to make, or he didn't know. And it was just like, I'm not sure. And so at that point too, it's just like, Dean didn't want any big farewells or send-offs or anything like that. So we're honoring that. And it was just time to, this all hits, and then all the plans go kaput that we had in line. But I don't even think that I asked the band. I think that I just that Dean wasn't going to make, and I said, hey Christian, you want to, I knew he was a big Vio-lence fan, and I've been friends with him for a long time. We played together. I was in Torque, and we opened for Fear Factory back in the day, and he had tried out for Machine Head, and I'd been in contact with the dude, super mellow, fits right in with what we're doing. And I'm glad that he fit in, because he was I kind of made a unilateral decision.
Right.
I didn't offer him a position. I offered him a show. And I think once the guys met him and saw him play, and it's just ridiculous right hand and player, and super excited to what we are, I've got this weapon on the bass guitar right now, that actually in one of the songs, it's called Flesh from Bone. And it's probably going to be maybe the first one released, but I had this riff in the beginning, and it's just been me and Harry writing, right? So it's all I'm hearing is just, I haven't heard anything with bass or even another guitar at this point. It's just been the one guitar. So I haven't been playing this guitar part, and I recorded it, and I was thinking it, but Bobby vocalized it first. He's all, dude, why don't you have Christian play that part on the bass? It's just like, fuck, I have this whole other element to the band to use now, and for him to be part of, and he did it. And if I had available, I probably would play it for you right now, but I don't. I got goosebumps, like a literal goosebumps.
Nice. Awesome.
Thinking about the songs, and we have some in first pass guitar. We got some good drum tracks. They're just kind of pre-production stuff. So we got Perry to play the song all the way through, and then I layered some guitar tracks on it, so Sean could sing some vocals on it. And we got some vocals and stuff, and it's fucking. I'm so excited, man. You know, Sean sounds killer. He sounds amazing. He's got this. I mean, you hear it on the cover, but he's got this cool tone to his voice. It's not, you know, he's balancing, you know, us back in the day. We're way more popular than we ever were back in the day. You know, it's just like, and people are just, if you read the comments on, gosh, Sean sounds great. Everything, you know, even some were just like, everything sucks but the vocals, you know, and that was never said about our band.
Wow.
So it's like, I don't care if they say that. We said they love Sean, you know, that's, it's so cool, because that was such a polarizing part of our band, was like, you know, Sean was you loved him or you hated him, you know? And I think that now he is, I think the world is ready for Sean Killian vocals, you know, and especially with how he's doing it now. I'm really excited, probably mostly in that sense, you know, because of Sean. It's fucking awesome.
Nice. Now, Phil, with obviously the change with Machine Head and you being, you know, out of that band, does that make Vio-lence your sole main project? Or, I mean, because obviously you've done 1,400 projects since you left Machine Head. is Vio-lence the sole main entity now, or are you still looking for that?
Well, you know, I put the BPMD record out in June, and I mean, obviously we can't do anything to support that. We were going to be supporting that, so it's a project. We're not really a band. We're four bros that are jamming covers, you know?
Right.
So Vio-lence is it's the priority and the main focus, I would say. But I've done all these collab jams with all these amazing artists, and, you know, those take up time, although they're not the priority. You know, I've got 2 contracts with, you know, 2 of the bands right now, and the Vio-lence is the one that's on deck for what we're doing next.
Right.
But we also want to do shows when we can, and Vio-lence will be the most active in that sense. BPMD isn't going to do that, but there are other things that I've done. This band Hail that I've jammed with Lomenzo and Chris Adler and Zet, and, you know, we had the opportunity to do some stuff. And Allegiance was going to do some things, and, you know, I'm just a big single swinging dick right now. I'm ready to. I'm down to bang. Who wants to bang?
Nice, man. Well, Phil, anybody that has followed your career knows that, you know, obviously Machine Head, and I'm not gonna try to even engage into the shit talking Machine Head thing, because you've done that, and we don't need to get into all that.
Well, I don't think I have.
Well, no, not shit.
Shit.
Maybe shit talking is the wrong term, but it is what it is. People know why you left. You've made that pretty clear. My question is for you is,
I felt my tongue.
now, you obviously for a lot of years you considered Robb Flynn a very good friend, I would assume, or at least a friend.
Yes.
And now seeing the, you know, the social justice stuff and the need for attention stuff and catharsis stuff, and, you know, all the things that people don't like as fans.
Okay.
How do you look at that? You know, not necessarily at him, or if your friendship has changed or whatnot, but how do you look at it as it affects you? Because you are forever going to be tied to so many great right. I mean, there's a lot of people think The Blackening is one of the top 5 metal albums ever recorded.
Right.
And so you're always going to be associated with Robb. How do you look at that now? And is it frustrating that you're associated with a side of him that maybe wasn't there for the bulk of what you were doing?
I think that, you know, I'm not one to post about my religious or political or social too much beliefs. I don't want, and that's just my choice. People do. And watching words carefully here. You brought up Catharsis, and I've been pretty hard on that record. And I think that I listened to it the other day, not the whole record, but certain parts. There were some leads that I want to listen to, and there's some solos on there that I'm super proud of. And there's parts of that record that are really good and that I'm proud of. Obviously there's stuff that I don't like, and that's up to me. As far as being associated with him, I think that even back in the day, there was a point, God, it was even, well before I quit, where somebody had said something like, and your own guitar player doesn't even follow you on Instagram. And it's like, and I did. I stopped following him about a year before I quit. Just because that's my choice. I didn't, I don't agree with a lot of what he says or was sharing, but that somebody had actually took the time to see if I followed him or not and brought it up. And so that's something that I can just turn off. I think that people know me enough, even while I was in the band, even there were songs that I didn't identify with playing them on stage. And, I was thinking that I was hiding it, but I wasn't. Is there anybody out there in Triple Beam and songs that I was just not feeling on stage, and I was struggling even faking it going through, and people picked up on that, and that wasn't, I'll own that wasn't the coolest thing to do. I could have always pulled what Jeff Hanneman used to do, is just fake like you're breaking a string and go behind the amp and just drink a Heineken. But now I don't think that I'm associated in any of the bad things or what is being construed as bad. I think that people have always seen me as an individual, and as far as those things are concerned, I think that being associated with records like Unto the Locust and The Blackening and Bloodstone and Ashes to some point, that being part of The Blackening and my contributions to that record it's like you said, it's people hail that as this huge thing. And, the dudes in Metallica were really, inspired by that record. And I had a lot to do with that record, whether it's credited or not, or, recently discredited on their website, that a lot of those songs don't happen without my contributions. And the way that I wrote back in the earlier parts and throughout my Machine Head career was I tried to come up with as much of the song as I could, because I know once I brought it in, it would get, finished or moved in a direction or whatever. So songs like Farewell to Arms, I was the catalyst for that. I brought in the intro, and Slanderous was the first song that I wrote for that record. And so that was like mostly written the first half, that songs like that. And Beautiful Morning, those songs were all brought in by me. The beginning to Now I Lay Thee Down, that was brought, and the beginning was brought by me. And then we collaborate later. But these are all songs that, don't happen. Whether I wrote, 20% or end up getting credited for how much, they just don't, the other parts just don't come. They come from this nucleus that is formed, that is brought in. And those were my contributions in that sense.
Sure. I'll tell you, just as a fan, Phil, I remember when the press came out for that record before it was out, and probably Robb was saying, was making the comparison to Master of Puppets, and I instantly wanted to hate it, because I was like, "There's no fucking way."
I like brutal and the most
exactly. But my favorite record ever from Machine Head is The Blackening, but my second favorite was The More Things Change.
Oh, that's
and I was listening, and they're saying, "Well, this is not only the best Machine Head, but it's like Master of Puppets." And you don't compare yourself to the great. I don't care what band you are. Metallica should not compare anything they do to Master of Puppets.
There will never be another Master of Puppets. Yeah. And you can't say that this is our Master of Puppets. No, it's not. Because it's not.
But I remember getting it and wanting to hate it, because it was like, this can't be fucking Master of Puppets. Right. And then listening to it and going, okay, I really, really like this.
All right, it's like the Creeping Death EP.
Yeah, exactly. But and that has been one of the things, about your career is that you may never have been the heralded guy because obviously Robb was the front man, so to speak. But your contributions were clearly understood, I think, maybe not by the metal fans as much as the musicians, but clearly getting that call over every other guitarist in the entire world that would have taken that Slayer gig. You're the guy that got the call, and I know you probably knew those guys and that had something to do with it, but it's still playing guitar for Slayer. There's you and there's Gary Holt, and that's it. That's still on this planet.
Right. Pat O'Brien.
And Pat O'Brien. You're right. So, that's an illustrious gig, and it really showcases that people understand what you can do and what you do with the 6 strings in your hand.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that was I've said it a lot, and that Slayer saved my musical career. I don't know if I would have there was a lot of self-esteem leaving that band, a lot of things said about my playing that left me just going, fuck, man, am I good enough to play at this level? And getting that call the day after I quit Machine Head, the day, not even 12 hours had gone by that I was unemployed, got the call from, fucking Slayer. And so that did, and also the BPMD guys having faith in me to be able to hold down the guitar spot for a project like that was a big deal. And it was the most freeing experience being in the studio doing those tracks, and had a lot of fun. And I think it's some of my best guitar work is on that BPMD record.
Sure.
It's just super liberating. And, there's no Floyd Rose stuff for, other than the Van Halen song, but it's just all me and my left hand, which is something that I hadn't done a lot of before. So it was a lot of blues, and finding that part in me and having everybody just say so many good things about it. It's been really cool.
Yeah. And Phil, I just got one more question before we wrap this up. I mean, it's no secret, obviously, that, and speaking of PPMD, as kids, we had such a different experience and connection with music compared to what we see today with a lot of the, younger generation of music fans, especially in rock and metal. Obviously a lot of it's attributed to, streaming and technology, but also I think a lot of it's because parents they're not doing the best job of influencing and encouraging their own kids to listen to rock and metal. Obviously hip hop's like the number one selling, musical genre now in the States. It's beating out rock for the first time. And we had talked to, your bandmate in BPMD, Mark Mengy, a couple of months ago, and he told us that the idea for that album, it came from his son when they were sort of talking about, I think they heard Leonard Skinner on the radio or something, and it just kind of, his idea for it came about. And doing those covers and giving them, I think, a metal makeover, I think it's really great for the younger generation of rock and metal fans, just so they can understand the roots of where all this stuff came from. As a parent yourself, as well as, being a successful musician, have you found it to be easier or harder to have a large influence on your kids musically? Because, like I was saying, rock and metal is no longer, quote unquote cool in younger circles. And, having a dad playing this non-cool music, they could just as easily reject it as easily as they embrace it if it doesn't align well, obviously musically with their peers in their social circles. So, I mean, do you find it, as with your kids, was it easier or was it more difficult for them to kind of get into the rock music?
The 4-year-old's too young, so he's not. He's singing Thomas the Train. 2 there, 4 there, 6 there, 8. But the 14-year-old has gone through. He doesn't listen to a lot of music. He's not pretty shy kid. As we got him playing drums pretty early. He was totally into that. We got him in the School of Rock, so he got into some. He got into Fall Out Boy. He's into a lot of the poppy punk type stuff, the happy, but he plays some AC/DC. He's not really a music guy, and it's music so predominant in our house, and he's typical 14-year-old. He's doom. He's whatever the fucking names are, and but he has in his middle school that he went to last year, there was a group of teachers that would get together every Friday at 7 a.m. and all these kids would come in, and they had 4 drum sets set up, and all these kids had their little practice amps, and there was like 30 of us in there. We're playing Back in Black, and we're playing Boys of Summer, and we're playing, Inner Sandman and Crazy Train. And he dug that and being part of this group of, I think what you said about doing the songs and kind of modernizing them a little bit. I think that BPMD record has done that for a lot of people, going like, giving them modern tones and a modern feel to them, and people are going, fuck, who's this mountain band, or so it's cool opening up. We sent the songs out to the guys in Mountain. We sent them out, Buck Donald from Ballistic Colt played on the song. He played on Tattooed Vampire, and he's like, holy crap, you guys have souped this up so much. And Ted Nugent gave us an endorsement. He listened to it.
Nice.
Whatever your feelings are on Ted, he's still a rock icon.
Oh yeah,
right.
Sure.
And so getting the stamp of approval from Billy Gibbons and their crew is just cool that we can hand that down to the younger generation and go, look, fucking 70s were rad. Here's a little slice of what we took from it, and go back and visit those things.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Phil, why don't you go ahead and just let the listeners know where they can, find BPMD music and anything coming out in the future for Vio-lence.
The Vio-lence, we're on Instagram, Vio-official something or other. I think you've got something scrolling on the bottom here. That's
the Facebook page. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. BPMD official on all the socials. Lots of good stuff coming up for next year.
Yeah.
Something super cool that I can't talk about yet.
Oh, no.
What else? Check out my YouTube page, the Phil Demmel YouTube page. I've got all these collab jams with some cool artists playing Black Sabbath and Van Halen tunes, and I just did one with Rudy Sarzo doing Revelation Mother Earth, and Mike Portnoy and Billy Sheehan, and so lots of stuff coming up.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks for having me, man. Thank you, dudes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Phil. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, man.
I felt
all right, guys. Be well. See you soon.
You too. Take care, man. Thanks for listening to Aftershocks. For more episodes, go to our website at www.aftershockspodcast.com. Visit us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for more news and information on the podcast. And be sure to subscribe, listen to, and review all episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all other podcast platforms. For your music listening pleasure, visit our website or go to www.shockwavesradio.com. For all comments and questions, please email us at info@aftershockspodcast.com.